And welcome to Impact Mental Health on Friday morning.
Yay.
It is slightly rainy here. Joe and I have just been out for a lovely walk exercise, not together because we're in lockdown. We are authors of Hate Myself, Hate My Life. It says a teenage guide to finding self-confidence and inner love, but the feedback is that everybody should read it. And if you're a parent, if you are an adult, whatever stage of life you're at, whatever age you are, then it's got great tools and tips inside, and it's illustrated, it's simple to read, it's a dip in, dip out book you can pick up and read any page at a time. It's encouraging and nurturing, it's got some encouraging quotes, but it covers things like healthy boundaries, having healthy relationships, finding your identity, healthy coping mechanisms, I can't say that word.
Mechanisms, anxiety, the role of anxiety.
And finding self-love. So we love it. We are also podcasters at Pods with Posh and Pool. And today we're going to be chatting about one of our extraordinary guests we had on board a couple of days ago. And she has an amazing life story, which we will leave you to discover for yourself. But she gave us 3 amazing tips on improving your mental health quickly, immediately. And we're going to be chatting about those 3 today. Jo, so nice to see you.
I know, I get very excited because I'm missing you. I'm missing you. And we do colour coordinate quite often, don't we? We wear similar things.
Oh, we're clashing. Maybe we're clashing.
Maybe. Oh well.
We're now side by side, so maybe it's a bit of a clash, but never mind, doesn't really matter, does it?
Like the point I want to make today about these 3 tips about mental health, these 3 tips are going to sound so basic. They're so basic, they're so easy to introduce to your life, but please don't underestimate them. And wherever you are in your mental health journey, these come with such power if you go and listen to our live that we did the other day with Kath. And it will be turned into a podcast, which we will release next week on all podcast apps. And Kath runs a company called The Kindness Factory, but she has got an amazing life story. She has faced some of the biggest adversities that anybody could go through. And we don't have to get there. We don't have to go on that same journey as Kath, but she implements these 3 things. And these are the things that got her out of the depths of despair. And yes, we spout up about them all the time. We love these things. But this is backed not only by somebody like Kath with an amazing inspirational story of grit, determination, sadness, sorrow, heartache, breaking, but these things are backed by science as well.
Yeah, and they're so appropriate, aren't they? And I think what we love about them, because we do talk about them all the time and we'll go through them one by one, is that, as you say, they're so simple. You can apply them immediately and they can have a dramatic effect on your life. They can change your life around no matter what situation you're in. So even if you're not struggling with something major, if you're at the other end of the spectrum and you have a major trauma, which I've been through in my life and I've had to kind of work through quite recently again, 18 years later, it's reared its ugly head. It's really worked for me. So the first one is gratitude. Living in gratitude is so important. And I remember, I've said this before, when I was at my darkest moment ever, somebody said to me, write down at the end of every day 10 things that you're grateful for. Some people say 3 things, so it's whatever you can do. But if you can do it daily and you can think of 3 things, 10 things that you're grateful for, keep a little diary. Here's my little diary. Keep it every day, and I write little notes, and sometimes I draw little pictures in it. And I write down 10 things every day that I'm grateful for. And then I expand on it. And sometimes, which is really incredible, when I write down one thing, for example, the fact I've got reading glasses, what is it around me that I've got? Or I've got my phone and I can communicate with friends in lockdown. And I can do Zoom calls and we can connect with each other. When you think of that one thing, it might be you write down a phone, and then that one thing opens up many more. And you're right, I'm so grateful I've got a phone because I can connect with my son in England. I'm so grateful my son in England is not in lockdown anymore. I'm so grateful that it's fresh this week at university, that he can actually study. And that one thing you write can open up the door to many other things you can be grateful for. And then you can carry on with the other objects as well. Joe and I are so grateful. We've published a book. We're so grateful for the lives that we've touched. We're so grateful for the incredible feedback we get back. So once you start thinking about gratitude, you can go on a journey of unraveling many more things. But also, what happens when you do that? You are in the present moment, not engaged in fear of the future, not engaged in the past, the traumas, the things that didn't work out, the relationship you'd love to have had, but he or she left you, the abuse, the bullying, the things your parents said or didn't say. You're in the present moment, the now, and it changes your mindset, it changes your body, it relaxes you, and the benefits are massive.
They are. And I've got a quote that says, "A grateful heart is a magnet for miracles," which it
I
is,
like
because the
it.
more grateful you are, the more you have to be grateful for. And that in itself is a miracle. Like, that's what you've just basically said. It's a knock-on effect. You know, and Kath said to us, one of her things is, you know, at one time she could only say, "I'm grateful I've got lungs, I'm grateful that there's fresh air in the world, and I'm grateful that I can breathe it in."
Mm.
Sometimes we're in the depths of despair and that's all we can be grateful for. That's okay. But then you start to see other things. You might see, one day you might just see a flower bloom and you go, "Oh, I'm so grateful I've seen that flower today." And then one day it's the sun coming up or the sun setting, whatever it is that fills your heart with that momentary pleasure of joy. Think about it, live it. Because I've got a bit of a list. Gratitude shields you from negativity. And we're all going to have negative thoughts and positive thoughts because we need polarity, but it shields you from that unnecessary negativity. It makes you at least 25% happier. Now, this is
going to say younger, 25% younger.
Well, I wish. I'd be doing it way more often. 25% happier, which is a scientifically proved thing. It's done with really pessimistic people, because you can be born pessimistic, optimistic, but you can turn it around.
Yeah.
So people who have been, you know, you can go and look at the experiments yourself, but they've been told to keep a gratitude journal for 21 days and they've measured them and they are at least 25% happier. It rewires your brain. And that's what we're talking about. If you're constantly in negativity, or if you're constantly worrying about stuff, but if you think things to be grateful for, and if you carry on doing that, it's rewiring your neural pathways. It eliminates stress, heals, improves sleep, boosts self-esteem and performance, enhances the law of attraction, which we love in our little spiritual way, and it improves relationships. The more you can be grateful for your loved ones rather than have expectations on them, it just fills your heart and has that ripple effect around you. So there is no down things I can think of to be grateful. There's no negativity. There's just nothing bad about gratefulness. So let's all do it.
And what's really interesting about that is that innately we are born to survive. So we're in the fight or flight response. So it's very natural for us to look at dangers around us. It's very natural to look at circumstances that might cause adversity because we're looking to be safe the whole time. It's that fight or flight response. Do I need to suddenly run? Do I need to sort of just hide away to protect myself? So it is very natural that we look for negative situations around us. But in today's world, with so much information overload, so much in the news, social media comparison, overstimulation, lack of time, lack of patience, lack of quiet, we're in that hypersensitivity. So the more we introduce this into our life, the better, because all of us know mental health problems are on the increase. We have horrific suicide stats in New Zealand, and I know around the world as well. So this is essential now more than ever, because not only are we living in that hypersensitive fight or flight response, but we are doing less of the healing things that we need to actually empty our bucket of stress. So we're doing less of the quiet time, less of the reading where we're switching off with our minds, less of the actual quiet walks, less of the repetitive mechanisms for housework chores. We're not digging the garden, we're not sweeping the floor, we're hoovering, we've got noise in the background, we're not washing up, we've got dishwashers. And so we've replaced a lot of our life with machines. And in addition, we've got the background noise going on. So more than ever, this is really important, isn't it, Jo? I can't hear you. I've got no sound from you.
Bugger, I was just talking away. I put it on mute because my daughter was emptying the dishwasher and all I could hear was bang, clatter.
I'd really like to hear what you've got to say. I can slightly lip read, but I'd rather hear what you've got to say than watch it.
I don't know. Some people would like to mute me, I'm sure.
Can I mute you? That's quite cool, actually. I like that. Might try it sometime. No, you've got 1 minute and then it's going to be mute.
I totally agree. And everything you were saying about because we are wired to see the worst. That's how we're wired. That's how we're born. And you're right. That's from our reptilian brain, trying to keep safe, being aware, looking around. But we're not. We have got our brain has evolved over time, and that's why we have
some of ours have. Mine might have done.
That's why we have our frontal cortex, and that's our intelligent brain. And, you know, with science and everything proving that we can rewire the brain, that's what we need to do. And this is a major, major tool to rewiring those neural pathways. So everybody get their pad out and their pen and write down what they're grateful for. Some people do it on their phone at night. And, you know, I understand we're in this new age where lots of it's technology, but I still personally think there is such healing in grabbing a pencil or a pen and writing something down. To me, it has a lot more power in it. It's a lot more grounding, and it actually makes you, because it takes a bit longer, maybe, you know, it takes a little bit longer. You have to think about it. It puts you back in that happy space of what you're grateful for. Spend a few seconds within that happy space. Don't just write, oh, I'm grateful to have food on the table. I'm grateful for my reading glasses, and I'm grateful for a hug from a kid. It's more, remember it. Remember that hug that you got. Remember when your little one handed you a rock on the beach and you were the special receiver of that rock on the beach. Whatever it is, remember it, live it, and go to bed. Put your head on the pillow, and you've just gone to bed in a place of bliss rather than a place of stress, worry, anxiety. I can't recommend it enough.
And actually, I think, Jo, what you said is really important. If you're in a really dark place and it's something very simple, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be something big. I remember when I was in the darkest of places and I was initially told to do it, I couldn't think of anything. I could not think of anything to be grateful for. My children had been abducted. They were 1, 3, and 5. And I just thought, I have absolutely nothing to be grateful for when I was told I'd never see them again. So we are really aware that some listeners are on board, or you're listening to this later as a recording, and you are in the darkest of place, and you think it's all very well for Jo and Sue. They're sitting in lockdown. That's all they've got to worry about. And they've got 4 children each living at home. How lucky are they? They've obviously got a house to live in, but I am desperate, and they could not relate. We can relate. We've been there. And when I had to think of the first thing to put on my list, I wrote, I am grateful for the air that I breathe. And then I wrote down, I don't even want to be alive. But I forced myself to get to number 10. And what happened over the next few weeks was that the things I noticed would get more prominent. I'd notice them more. People would start coming into my life to support me. Amazing coincidences happened. Miracles happened. People started paying for my petrol in petrol stations. Amazing things happened because I crossed over the line between choosing to be a victim and helpless and choosing to stay in negativity and stay in my problems. But I made a choice to actually try and find the things. Even when I couldn't, I made that decision. And the decision is the switchover point between actually staying in destructive lifestyle and negative consequences, and actually choosing to step into faith, even though you can't see the things you're grateful for. Step into faith, which is substance of things you hope for and evidence of things not yet seen. So you make a decision, and the decision is the turning point, and then you write down those things, and they will increase, and you will see miracles. And as Jo says, to write them down is so significant, because you look back and you say, this is what I started with. Look at what's happening to me now. Look at what's coming into my life, and your life will change.
Love it, love it. So what's point 2, Sue? Point 2 is humour. Humour, which I love humour. And
you do.
Humour can be dark, humour can be light. Humour is one of the best things ever. And like, you know, we're so PC about what we can and can't say. But you know what?
You're not.
No, I'm not. Bollocks to it.
I am. You're not. I need a bit more of you. You need a bit more of me. No, you don't.
You know what? So no, we don't, because we're not going to change. And all my quote says is, life is so much easier with a sense of humour. Life isn't easy. We say this all the time. Life is tough. Pain, adversity, suffering, shit gets thrown at us regularly. I mean, go and listen to Kath's story, because you won't believe what happened to her. What did happen once? Didn't just happen once, it happened twice. So go listen to it. Can't recommend it. But some people, you know, some people just seem to be thrown worse things than others. There's no comparison. It is just what it is.
Yeah.
But life continues to do it. And you know what? I don't know about you, Sue. I mean, maybe not when you were totally in the depths of despair. And when I've been in the depths of despair for different reasons to you, when I had my nervous breakdown, did I laugh on that day? No, I didn't. I didn't laugh on that day, but I laughed not long after that. And laughter to me is so important. In fact, I've actually put humour as one of my top 5 values now, because I've realised that if I don't have humour in my life every day, and this is why I'm so funny, by the way, because I do it for myself, but if I don't have humour in my life every day, I can feel my mental health declining. So no, I couldn't laugh on the day that I couldn't get out of my mug drawer because I was having a nervous breakdown. No, I couldn't. I didn't laugh on that day. But it wasn't long after. It might have been the day after. It might have been the day after that. I probably would have been snorting laughing at something. I didn't laugh all day long. It wasn't joyous for the entire day. No, it wasn't. But your road to recovery, mine definitely included laughter.
I've got a little story here I've read because I
Go
was
on then.
looking up laughter, and it says humour makes us more resilient, creative and resourceful. So there's a little story here. 5 years ago, my brother awoke to dreadful news. His close friend was on a business trip in Mali, staying in the Radisson Blu Hotel. It had been stormed by Islamic militants and ultimately 170 hostages taken and 20 people were killed. My brother's friend, a Canadian, was on the 7th floor. Gun battles exploded directly below him. Escape wasn't possible. He locked himself in the bathroom, texted his wife, his family, and my brother. Things are a little tense inside the Radisson at the moment. Simon, any English humour available? We love English humour. He was looking for jokes. Is the fridge stocked? My brother replied. They probably won't charge you for it. Their thread stretched across 3 hours. It's tense, poignant, and peppered with my brother's humour. Just checking, did you cancel your business meetings for the day? And what will you write on the hotel's "Tell us how we did" card? His friend was rescued. His last reads out and safe. Milan Commando saved his life, but humour helped him carry it through. It helped him stay calm, intact himself under unfathomable pressure. And if you think about being locked down in a pandemic, which all of us have been over the last 18 months, stress is huge. And in addition to pandemics, a lot of people have lost their jobs, they've lost relationships. Teenagers are moving out of home and flat sharing, so there's a loss there for parents. Some people have got young children at home and the tension is huge. Masses of stress. But if we can bring into the situation we face, we can't necessarily change the situation, but we can change the way we move through it so that we're not utterly destroyed by it, because we've got to keep that equilibrium. How do we do it? 1 is gratitude, 2 is a sense of humour.
And humour, what does it do? I mean, when we laugh, think about what happens when we laugh. It changes our physical and our emotional state. Like, laughter creates a movement in the body often. Well, it definitely does for me because I'm a bit of a nutter. But, it changes everything. It changes through energy. It brings about a great energy. I don't know somebody who laughs and then feels bad after laughing. Or maybe if you're laughing at dark stuff and you think, maybe I shouldn't have laughed. But, you still have to laugh.
It's the moment when you laugh and you're not meant to laugh, isn't it? When somebody announces some bad news and you laugh, then you feel terrible, but then you want to laugh even more. What's that about?
Hey, I was talking to somebody not so long ago, and they had lost their 2-year-old daughter had died tragically. I think she'd had an illness. So, but it was, nothing can explain that. It's destroying, it's heartbreaking. And they had her in a coffin in the back of the car. I'm going to laugh because they laughed, right? And when they told the story and the police pulled them over at one point, and they were trying to explain it, and they ended up all kind of laughing because it was so dark and so heavy, but so ridiculous that they'd been pulled over at this one time, that the precious cargo was what it was. But they found the funny side of it, and there is humour to be had in every situation. I mean, that might make some people absolutely heartbroken, and it's a heartbreaking story, it is. But you look at the poorest people in the world, look at them. I've been to Africa. I've seen the slums in Africa, and you know what I've seen? These beautiful children with the biggest smiles on their face, finding joy, whether that's in a pencil or a bird or a rock on the floor that they're kicking, or just because they're seeing some white tourists, whatever it is, you know, whatever, because, you know, we look different to them. They're like, oh, wow. And there's smiles on their faces. Humour gets us through. So today, our tip is, if you haven't laughed today, go and watch some Michael McIntyre.
Yes. Or Chris, what's his name? He's so funny. Oh my goodness me. What is his name? How will I find him on Instagram?
There's
Chris Parker. He is hilarious. Do you know Chris Parker?
I don't know if I do, actually. I'm going to look.
Dress up. Fancy dress. We all had to go dress up in costume. Okay, well, this is like a nightmare. This
Anyway, he is hilarious. If you haven't seen Chris Parker, he's Kiwi. He does amazing takes on lockdown. He's got one on walking with a mask on. He's got one which is asking for play dates, not in lockdown, obviously. He's got one about just another week, that's only 7 days. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 1 days, that's it. And it's hilarious. And at the end, he says, that's 1 hour gone. God, 1 hour's been such a long time. But he's hilarious. And he has conversations with himself. So it's not the Michael McIntyres, they pick up on the nuances of life, as does Chris Parker. But he does it with himself, having a conversation with himself. He's hilarious. So have a look at Chris Parker on Instagram.
I love it.
You know him, Joe? Have you heard him?
No, I've never heard him, but I'm going to. And you know what? Be careful who you follow on social media and things like that. Make sure there is something in your social media content when you're flicking through that's going to bring some humour. Not that comparison, not making you feel bad. Get something. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I follow this woman in Australia who just takes the piss out of people all the time, mainly at herself. You know, like it's self-deprecating kind of thing. But you know, there might be a celebrity. There was one the other day where Kate Beckinsale was eating a chip. Like she's ever eaten a French fry in her entire life, and she's all looking all sexy and seductive, and then she comes on board and she puts a hot chip in her mouth and she's trying to be all sexy. She puts this hot chip in her mouth and she needs to spit it out. Oh my gosh, I literally nearly pee my pants laughing when I'm watching her. I will think about it.
Isn't it? It's hilarious because I mean I can even laugh if I think about Chris Parker and his sketches. I will laugh. And I read something the other day on this menopausal website with this woman that's a comedy writer, and she was talking about the in thing now is to swim in cold weather, cold water, without a wetsuit on, but she's determined she's going to do it, but she'll buy the wetsuit, and she's mortified because she goes to the wetsuit shop and she's a size 10 and it's an extra large, and she buys it and then she takes it back because there's absolutely no way she's going to have an XXL for anything in her wardrobe when she's only a size 10. So then her friend says to her, look, you just swim in skins, and she's like, I'm just not going to swim naked. And then she realizes that skins is the technical term for a cozy, you know, wearing a swimming costume. She has to learn all this technical language, and she is absolutely hilarious. And she buys this big sort of toweling dressing gown thing with 150 pounds in England, and she turns up and the swimmers say it's just not trendy, you just can't wear that, but she spent 150 pounds. So then she wears it to the pub after to warm up with a hot chocolate, and everyone thinks it's hilarious, they love it. So then they all want to know where she bought it. So then she says, well, I'll even give them my discount code of 20% because it arrived too late for me to get it. And obviously people in the pub have got a much better sense of humor than people that swim. It's hilarious, it goes on and on. But then I'd read it, and then for the next 2 hours I kept laughing because I just remembered little things that she'd said, and she writes brilliantly. So humor does change your life.
It does. I love it. I'm still giggling at some of the things now as well. I love it. And the final one, this is it. So we've done gratitude, easy peasy. Find some things in your life that you're grateful for. Second one, humor. Again, I think easy peasy, but it depends what your humor is. But go and find your humor, whatever it is. Laugh till your heart's content. Laugh till your face aches. Laugh till your belly aches. It's going to do you the world of good. And then the other one is kindness. Kindness. And first and foremost, what I'm going to say is be kind to you first. Whether that's how you talk to yourself, how you treat yourself, where you are in the pecking order of life, you must be kind to yourself. And then we can be kind to others. You are worthy of your own kindness. So let's all be kind to ourselves, and then do those little random acts of kindness. And they may just be, do you know what, that most of the biggest acts of kindness to me don't involve money. Some of them do, don't get me wrong. You know, I remember when we put our book on Kickstarter, Sue, and we wanted to raise $12,000, didn't we, to have our book published and printed, and so we could give some out as well. There you go. And it was such a big amount. And I remember when a few close people to us donated a huge amount of money for them, and we were blown away, weren't we? That act of kindness absolutely blew us away. But you know what? When I'm in the depths of despair, sometimes I go to the supermarket, our local supermarket, but Sue knows this one, because the ladies in there are so joyful and so gorgeous that they chat to you, they smile at you, they're happy. They may not be happy, but they bring this persona to work and they care about people. And sometimes I go there just to be cared about, just because I want somebody to be happy, and I know I'm going to get that reaction when I get there. That act of kindness to me is just as big as well.
I totally agree. Totally agree. And I love it on the podcast. She gives a really good example, because you say, put yourself first. And she says what happens in the safety instructions on a plane, they always say, put your own life jacket on first before you help somebody else. And that's so significant, because you cannot help somebody else. You cannot be kind to somebody else if you're not first kind to yourself. You cannot give away what you don't have. I've got this lovely story. There's a 92-year-old man that lives over the road from me, and he's got 4 children, and he walks up and down the hill every day to go and get some food at New World. It's a very steep hill, so even I struggle to go up the hill, but he does make it, and he stops and chats. And then I just suddenly thought, I'm cooking for 4 or 5 of us every single day, often more. Why don't I just drop some food every day on his doorstep? You know, a bit of a meal, a shepherd's pie, or a bit of a piece of cake we've got, or muffins. So I started doing it. And do you know one thing I really want to do, and I can't really do it in rented properties, grow my own vegetables, because we were self-sufficient on an allotment in London. And the other day he said to me, you don't want to grow vegetables in my garden, do you? Because I've been talking about, and he's now given me his garden, and it's got lots of veggie beds already there, some nice soil in it, and he's asked me if I'd like to use it as my own to grow vegetables. And I just thought, you know, when you do these small acts of kindness, you never do it to expect something back, but often you are blessed in a greater way by a small act of kindness. There was no expectation at all. I would just do it out of pure love.
Well, kindness is free to give, but priceless to receive.
Yeah, and you, as I said on the podcast, you never forget the small, and it's often the smallest things, acts of kindness where people are kind to you, never forget. So if we can do it for other people, you're changing the atmosphere, you're changing the vibrations, you're changing the energy and frequency around other people. And in essence, we're just raising the vibration around us for everybody.
So give a smile, give compliments freely, thank the people that you love and the people that have helped you along the way. Just a simple thank you often is the biggest surprise, because we don't thank people enough, and we don't receive enough thanks as well. It goes both ways. Thank people, smile at people, ask people how they are, and actually genuinely want to know, because that in itself is an act of kindness. You know, look at the person who serves you in the dairy down the road and thank them for being there during lockdown when you're putting their life at risk. Thank everybody. You know, just be kind. And then if you want to do something like pay for somebody's groceries or pay for their petrol or donate some money, great, do what you can. I love it. But you know what? One act of kindness has such a big knock-on effect and goes around the world. And as Sue says, it raises vibration, it changes energy. And look at the world. What the world needs now. What the world needs now is love. Well, actually, yes, it does need love, but from love comes kindness, gratitude, and humour. Let's do that.
So, as Jo says, we're about to release the podcast. Meanwhile, it is on YouTube, and we have pasted the link to the talk so you can watch it. We actually did it on Facebook Live, so it's now the YouTube link, and it is on Impact Mental Health, our podcast. No, that's not our podcast, sorry. Our Facebook page. So you can watch it on there, and you can find all our other podcasts on pods with Posh and Pool, because I'm very posh because I polish my kettle apparently, and Jo is from Liverpool where she steals cars. Saying that, I was calling my bank in England the other day, and this woman answered the phone, and you never guess where she was from.
Liverpool, but
she had the most amazing Liverpudlian accent. I said, my business partner Jo will absolutely love you. And at the end she said, can I do anything else to help? And I said, you could put £1 million in my bank account. She said, yes, I'll do it right away. And we've been talking about how long these transactions take. So I said, and how long will this transaction take? And she said, it's done. It's already there.
Love her.
She was very much from Liverpool. She was gorgeous.
We're great up north, you know.
Normally in England, Joe and I wouldn't speak because I'm from the south and she's from the north, but I think in New Zealand we're allowed to.
And look at us, we have such fun together. We're very kind to each other, and I'm very, very grateful for you, Sue.
Oh, that ticks all 3 of your boxes.
It does. And thank you everyone for listening to our ramblings, because we think we're going to be on for 5 minutes, and here we are half an hour later. But we hope we've entertained you. We hope we've given you some tips to improve mental health. Go forth and conquer and have a bloody lovely weekend.
That's swearing.
I don't care. I've swore all the way through. I have a potty mouth.
Is that what you do in Liverpool?
It's what I do in New Zealand.
Have a great weekend, and we will see you next Friday for our next live. I don't know how to stop.